This screencast is to go over the 2017 free response question about the money market and the velocity of money. This FRQ has a couple of things in it that make it pretty easy and a couple of obstacles that make it challenging, but really from a vocabulary standpoint. So it says, assume economies in long-run equilibrium, assume that consumers wish to hold less money because they use credit cards more frequently to purchase goods and services than cash. For part A, we're supposed to show that with a money market graph and show the reduced holdings of money on the equilibrium nominal interest rate in the short run. So you should have a graph that looks similar to this, where the quantity of money demanded is shifting to the left. That's going to be worth 2 points. You always get 1 point for drawing the graph correctly, and then 1 point for shifting the necessary item in the appropriate way. Because this is not about the monetary policy actions of a central bank, we're not touching the money supply. This is going to make nominal interest rates fall. Then part B is a follow-up on that, which is based upon the change in the real nominal interest rate in part A, what will happen to each of the following? Price of previously issued bonds. Previously issued bonds, the price of them will go up. The reason why the price will increase is due to the fact that interest rates fell. Interest rates and the price of bonds are inversely related, but that would be for newly issued bonds. So this says previously issued bonds. So why would the price of these also go up? The price of these would also go up because they're cheaper in relation to new bonds. So the demand for these previously issued bonds would increase, which would drive up the price. So all in all, the relationship between interest rates and bond prices, whether they're previously issued or newly issued will be inverse. Then we get to part 2, which the first time I ever did this question, I said that the price level would increase because nominal interest rates go down, and this is going to drive up aggregate demand because it's going to increase interest-sensitive consumption. And that part's correct. The second part, when I did this for the first time, I said that real income would decrease because prices are going up and nominal wages are sticky in the short run, therefore real wages would decline. But there's a very important thing here, and that it does not say real wages, it says the phrase real income. And real income and real wages, I've learned, don't mean the same thing. Real income is measured by real GDP. So real GDP down here, which I'm going to try to do with my painting tool, not very good, not very well, I might add, is another way of saying the real income. Because remember, real GDP not only measures the expenditures of a country, but those expenditures are also the income of a country. So when you see the phrase real income, that's another way of asking what would happen to real GDP. And in this case, if interest rates did decrease, we would see real income or real GDP ... increase. So the answer to this one, part 2, is that both of these would increase due to the shift in aggregate demand that results from greater interest-sensitive consumption. Let's take a look at that down in the explanation. You can see that in part B down here. If we go back up to the top, C, with a constant money supply, based upon your answer of part P2, will the velocity of money increase, decrease, or remain the same? So the velocity of money formula, if we scroll up here, is the money supply times the velocity equals the price level times the real GDP, or the quantity in the economy. That's what the Y stands for. So if the price level and the real GDP are both increasing over here, okay, if both of these are on the up, okay, and the money supply is staying flat or times 1, then this number, whatever it is, the velocity of money, also has to be increasing as well in order to make this equation work. So the answer for part C is that the velocity of money would increase. D, If the central bank wishes to reverse the change in the interest rate identified in Part A, what open market operation could they use? So recall that open market operation means buying or selling bonds. So that has to be one of the answers, either buying or selling bonds. So if I look at this graph and I want to get back to this original interest rate, it's kind of tough on the one that they drew. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to move this money supply back over to the left. And in order to do that, we would have to make the money supply smaller. That would bring the interest rates back over here, okay? Didn't quite get it over far enough because of the way they did the lines here, but you would sell the bonds to make the money supply smaller, and that's the answer for Part D.